Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cup of Joe with Joe and Joe podcast. I am your host, Joe, and with me, as always, is my wonderful co host, Joe, and also special guest, Mark.
Hello, everyone. My name's Mark. It's nice to be on the podcast. Uh-oh.
Get out.
Did I fuck up?
Get out. Oh,
You didn't tell me. You didn't tell me what to do.
Mark.
You didn't tell me what
Mark.
to do.
If you're gonna join the podcast, at least have a fucking cup of coffee.
All right. I have my cup of coffee right here. Should I sip when we do the introduction thing?
Oh no, we're keeping this rolling. This is live. Joe, bring it in, man.
Yep, so, I mean, it's fine, Mark, if you didn't sip a cup of coffee. It's totally fine. Everyone, hello. It's not just two Joes today, like the channel says. That was a dirty, blatant lie. Today, we have something a little bit different, a little bit special. We're going to be talking with a dear friend of ours, Mark. Hello, Chicago lad.
Hello, Joes. It's nice to be on the podcast. Thank you both for having me here.
So instead of doing what we normally do with like all of our movie talk and all of our anime talk and all of our comic talk and blah blah blah, all that normal shiznit that we like to do, I figured it'd be a nice change of pace just to do something a little bit different. You know, maybe talk some video games, perhaps some music, perhaps some photography, just any sort of different stuff that we don't normally get the chance to discuss. Because, you know, we Joes, we have a couple of things that we like that's not just waifus and things blowing up in cinematic fashion.
We're cultured.
Right. And not just in the art of being behind boys, which is an inside
Excuse
joke
me?
Mark probably doesn't get yet. So we were behind boys earlier because we were behind on comic stuff, but then also in the sense of the backside of
I see.
humans. Yes.
The implications of that are very wide, but, please continue.
So, to get us started, I figured, what better place to start than with video games? Things that most people of our demographic are well versed. Our demographic, of course, being behind boys.
This is true.
Yes. And so I figured it'd be nice to talk about something that all of us really have a really big passion for, that being Super Smash Brothers, particularly Melee. Joe, tell us a little bit about your introduction into this, and then Mark as well. But I'm saying Joe first just because I feel like he hasn't gotten a chance to talk a whole lot right now.
Wow, Joe, you really do love me. I truly appreciate it.
It's very slight.
Oh, okay, thank you. I'll take it when I get it. But Super Smash Brothers Melee, man, what a game! What a game!
Crazy game.
You know me, I'm not a gamer. I'm really not. I mean, I played Halo when I was younger. That's about it. That was a bit of an addiction. But, I met this Filipino man my freshman year of college. We locked eyes. It was destiny after that. But one thing I learned about him is that he was pretty good at smashing some bros, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink. And yes, you know what I'm talking
Excuse me.
about. But I didn't understand it until I watched him play, and I thought the controller was going to snap in half. And it was in that moment where it's like watching like a guy do a bicycle kick on a soccer field. You just get inspired. You're like, I got to do that. And so I decided, you know what? Why don't I learn how to play Melee? Spring semester we really got into it, and the grades definitely took a drop, but the tech skills got bumped.
Hell yeah. I was in a very similar position where it was Mark and our other friend kind of got me into Smash Brothers at first with whatchamacallit, Smash 4 or Smash for Wii U, whatever the fuck that thing's title was. And from there, it was like, wait, no, but there's Melee. And then I too witnessed the controllers looking like they were going to break in half in the hands of these players, and I was like, huh. So this is what a video game looks like.
It was, but really, what set it off was Mark being like, "Hey guys, you ever watch the Smash documentary?"
That was a great documentary. It's one of the best documentaries out there. Highly recommend anyone watch that, please.
And I just knew, I was never really good at Smash. I was very bad at it. I would lose often. Although I did enjoy fighting games. And Mark, I gotta say, trying to go up against you at first was, needless to say, frustrating.
infuriating,
I was definitely
confusing.
indulging on it. To be fair, like I knew you
Yeah,
guys were new. I
yeah,
was kind of bullying you guys around, so it was it was 100% intentional.
yeah. But once I discovered the puff, everything changed. Isn't that right, Joe?
I'm surprised that you haven't gotten a Jigglypuff tattooed across your ass cheeks yet, if I'm being honest. Of all the things you've gotten so far, the fact that you don't have that yet, it boggles my mind.
It boggles my mind how Joe
It's
hasn't gotten a a tattoo of Jigglypuff on his forehead yet. Like I think that's the correct move at this point.
me and the puff go way back, man. I mean, I don't fuck around with nobody but the puff. It's me and the puff from day one till death.
Till death do you part. Perfect. Mark, how did you even get into Smash Brothers and like specifically Melee and all that sort of stuff?
I think it's a pretty standard story, I'd say. I think I'm with you. I started out playing the Wii U Smash. My whole life I've pretty much been playing all Smashes. They've always been fun. But I think to a certain point I was like I just wanted more from a game. As in my competitive nature, I always just want more of whatever I'm doing, whether it be like art, creative stuff, and even video games. So I started playing some Smash 4 and then I got into some competitive scenes, but then it just wasn't for me. And then I think one day I stumbled upon the Smash Bros documentary, right? And it was really crazy because I was like, this is so cool. Like Smash 4 doesn't have this whole history of all these players that have been playing since like I was like in diapers. And then, it eventually segued me to downloading the game on my computer because apparently you can like download Melee on your computer. Isn't that crazy? You can download any game on your computer legally if you have the copy of the game. And
Totally legal means.
I own a copy of Super Smash Brothers. It's legal. Um, and it was an era of like when online Melee was still kind of at its birth. So I just hopped online, played some people, and realized that I was pretty bad, right? And so then I kept playing. Then like I thought I was good. It was about 3 months of me playing. I go to my local tournament and get my ass completely whooped. I'm just like by a Doctor. I remember it was a Dr. Mario. I'm like, dude, who plays Dr. Mario? He just like threw pills at me and like swung his fist at me. And ever since then, I've been playing, and it's honestly been really fun. You meet a ton of people. You end up in a lot of weird places, lots of weird tournament venues, and a lot of people that you would meet who you wouldn't think you'd be friends with. You actually do connect with quite well. So I think there's something to be said about more of the community aspect than just the game. And obviously it like helped us grow our relationship back freshman year because it's like everyone is figuring out how to way to socialize, and what easier way to socialize than with like, a game that was made in 2001. So that's pretty much my origin story with it. And ever since then I've been playing like pretty regularly on a competitive level. And it's been really fun since then. Frustrating, but fun.
I think that perfectly describes Melee, is that it's just frustrating but fun because it's like whenever we play, either you and me and Joe or us and like our other friends, it's just whatever group setting you have, it's always like it starts off fun. Everyone's like, all right, I want to get in the rotation, I want to play a couple of rounds, and then it always ends with people just being like, okay, I'm done with Melee right now.
It's like I'm quitting Melee forever, but then you always come back to it. You never like end up with it forever.
It's such
like
an
trying to quit
abusive
smoking.
relationship.
Melee's like an abusive relationship. You never want to go back to it, but you always end up in the same place.
This is
gotta-
such a great note to start the special on.
I gotta
You know what I
say-
mean, though.
I gotta say that I think a highlight of freshman year, at least in my eyes for you, is definitely having the first ever Melee tournament.
Oh my
at
gosh,
Arcade.
yeah. What a crazy time.
Like holy crap. I think about that and I'm like, that really happened, didn't
Yeah,
it?
and in the Pennsylvania Melee scene, it's not really rampant, So because I really want to go to a Melee tournament, and I went to a tournament down in Philadelphia. Then I was like, this is very small, and there needs to be more tournaments. So it was really cool because I actually posted on the Philadelphia Smash page, and a lot of PR like power ranked players came out. Basically means they're like really good, and that was cool because we had like a prize pool and everything. And you're right, it is crazy how that happened. I took a step back from the venue. We rented out like a classroom in like, what is that hall next to the chat?
That was an Easton.
Yeah, in Easton Hall. Then
Yeah,
like
it was Easton.
we rented out a room, and then there was just a room full of cathode ray televisions, and I was just like, wow, people are really playing. There are adults in this who went to Arcadia University and decided to play this. But that's kind of the fun of it, and it was really successful and it was really cool. Yeah, no, that was a wild time. Sometimes I forget that happened. And it's really fun just because you get to like see the byproduct of your work, and it was really fun actually getting to meet some more Pennsylvania people. But what was that like for you guys, like seeing that whole tournament thing happen in front of you?
It was a fucking fever dream, if I'm being honest. Like you, I think back to that and I'm like, wait a minute, that actually happened? Because I remember going there and just seeing one of the one of the Eastern rooms just completely transformed because there was just all the TV set up everywhere and just a bunch of random people there just like from different areas like around Philly. I remember some people that were like from other schools that were like a decent ways away, like
Yeah,
over a half
Drexel
hour
and
and stuff like that. I
Temple
was
and
like,
stuff.
what the fuck?
yeah,
And then we're all
yeah.
just playing together.
Yeah, no, and like it's really crazy because like Smash people will travel. Like they like I think there was a carpool of four that showed up, and I was like, oh my gosh, like you guys came from so far away. That really blew my mind, actually.
It even it inspired me then the next year back when whatchamacallit, Joe, when you and I were living together with Rain,
Oh God.
the summer before then, when I was driving back from work one day, I just saw the like one of the largest CRTVs I'd ever seen just sitting on the corner of someone's house in my neighborhood, and I remember passing it by, and I was like, it says free on it, and it says it still works. So I drove back, and I was like, Dad, you got to help me with something. And so we get the van, and we pull up, and we just look at this thing, and we're like, okay, how the fuck are we gonna get this in the back of the van? Because this thing
That's
was
so
massive.
funny.
It was like 300 pounds of CRTV, and we managed to just hoist it from curb up 2 feet into the back of the van, and the back, like the van went from parallel with the ground to looking like it was about to launch off into fucking
Oh
space
my
because of
god.
the weight of this TV in the background. And it stayed there too. That was the funny thing. It stayed in the van for the next couple of weeks until we then brought it to Oak when we got the apartment, and then we set it up there, and we named it Trinity because it was like a Trinity something branded TV, and we maybe used it a dozen times over the course of the year.
It was more of kind of like just like a Chotsky, you know what I mean? It was just for aesthetic reasons.
Pretty much, yeah. I think the most we used it in one like time frame was the weekend that you ended up visiting, Mark, because then
Yeah.
we had like more reason to utilize it.
Yeah, and like honestly, in my like 5 years of playing Super Smash Bros. Melee for the Nintendo GameCube, I've never seen a CRTV that big before. Like I cannot like oh my gosh, that CRTV was so massive, and I don't even know how you guys got into Oak Summit. Like those hallways are not very accessible to something
It
like a
was
CRTV.
it was a fucking process because I think I came with it was me, my dad, Rain, Joe. You were there when we were bringing it in, right?
Yeah, I had already moved in.
Yes,
Remember, I was
that's
there
right.
for like a week.
Yeah, because of soccer stuff. So then we managed to bring it. We had I think we had a dolly with it, or did we have one of the bins? I can't remember.
We did the bin.
We did the bin to bring it in, but then to get it out, getting it out was even funnier because we went down on move out day, and it was
Oh
like
my God.
we asked one of the grounds guys, which was like, "Hey, do you have a dolly that we could use to move something?" And he was like, "No, I can't give you guys a dolly." And I was like, "Hey," I think he said something, "I don't have any dollies," and I was
And it was right
looking,
next to him.
yeah,
That's so awkward.
something in my throat. Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? So I was like, okay, fine. I go upstairs and I'm just like, all right, you know what? Let's just wait a little bit. And we did. And then we went back downstairs and we just took one. And
No,
then it
you
was
didn't.
me.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, we did. We just took like a little dolly, and then it was me, Joe, Gunner, and I think Ben. And the four of us lifted it, put it on the dolly, and then wheeled it down into the free stuff space in Oak, and then we just left it there. I was like, I'm not taking this
Dude,
back home.
no,
It was kind of like it was like a senior fucking prank because it was like, all right, we can't trash this, and we don't really know where to put it, so we're just gonna put it in like the free stuff pile, and it's gonna be somebody else's problem to take care of it. And it just sat there for weeks because I had to go to school for work during the summer, and I would drive by and I'd look into the the main entrance of Oak and see this massive fucking TV sitting in the fucking like main entrance, and all these people were definitely like, how the fuck are we supposed to move this
Yeah,
thing
how does
out of the
if
fucking
even if you
lobby?
did want it, it's like how where do you even begin? Do you carry it from the do you push it? Do you try and lift it? Like that thing had like two layers to it. It was enormous.
It did. It was two
I
parts.
wonder what happened to it. Like cuz obviously it's not there anymore. So like where is that TV? Who
Yo,
knows?
we're definitely gonna like. I'm gonna be going back to grad school, and they're gonna be like, yeah, Joe, go in the spare room and go get some like extra, I don't know, whatever stuff for PT school, and I'm gonna open it up, and it's Trinity just gonna be covered in dust in the back corner, and I'd be like, baby, you're still here.
Dude,
That would be fucking incredible.
Lo
But
and
it's either in a back room somewhere or they trashed it.
no, it's clearly being used. There's gonna be like a GameCube like connected to it. There's gonna be like four controllers just like sprawled out on the floor in front of it. You already know some of the Arcadia staff's already getting into Super Smash Brothers Melee, you know.
Oh hell yeah.
But what was I gonna ask you guys? Like, are you guys still actively playing right now? How do you guys kind of like still interact with the game in any way, shape, or form?
Well,
Yeah, here
I'll
Joe,
go
you go.
first.
Yeah.
I'd say, I don't know, every like 2 weeks or something, I'll get the urge, and like I'll sit down and I'll hop on Dolphin or whatever, and I'll just play like 20XX. And it's not the same. Like I crave actually playing with people, so like not being in that college environment kind of
Yeah.
sucks. Because I would have to go to a locals and stuff like that, and like there's a locals not too far away from me. Like I think I talked to you when you visited that, like, oh, the lab is still open.
Yeah.
And they do their weekly tournament, but they also have like a big Arcadian coming up
Oh,
where it's like a huge
you should
tournament.
enter.
It's like
You're
big deal.
definitely
I
eligible.
entered it. I entered it like 2 years ago, and I got smacked by like half of the guys that what is it that showed up
Yeah.
from our tournament when we had it at
Oh, no
Arcadia,
way.
and I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, yeah. It was like a bunch of them, and they recognized me, like, oh, you're the dude from Arcadia. I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. They're like, and I remember the one guy asked, he's like, oh, is that Capapa's guy coming?
Oh man, I'm glad that my name was floating around. That makes me feel good.
Your
Dude,
name
it
was
was
still in the ether.
it was pretty cool, and like even now I'm like I'm like I would love to go to a tournament again, but at the same time I'm like I kind of would like to have some form of a chance to like win at least a stock. um as of right now, it's like when I assess my fitness levels before a race, I'm like, okay, am I fit enough to run this long? Nope. Am I fit am I melee fit enough to take on guys that do this every day? No, not right
And
now.
and that's the thing, like
Not
even at
right
like the
now.
lower levels, like everyone's so good at the game. And you really get no freebies, especially at an Arcadian, because everyone's there because everyone has a fair chance of winning. Because the whole point of Arcadian, for if you don't know, is like there are no ranked players that are allowed to be there. So it's a bunch of
Yep.
like the unranked players like literally just trying to win and getting that big prize pool. So it's definitely like big stakes there. And it seems like you just walked into the belly of the beast, you know? You just got messed up by a couple people. So
God damn. Um, oh yeah, and then for me, the I get an occasional fix of Smash Brothers every once in a while. I don't have, or I think I still do. I have a Dolphin and 20XX or
with
whatever
a legal
version of
copy
it
of
that I have
Melee,
on my
right?
laptop.
With a physical copy
Yeah,
of Melee.
totally legal copy of Melee. I meant
I
yes.
had to I just had to make sure, you know.
Yeah, no, you're right. I forgot. I don't know what I was thinking about.
You literally have it right
Um,
next to you.
but then
Yeah.
yeah, here I'm. Hang on,
Can you shake the box
that's
for
me
us
tapping the
we
case.
Oh,
That's
there it
me
is.
tapping the case of the
There's
game.
Melee. Just for the
Yep, there it
yeah,
is.
just to
We
make
got it.
for legal purposes.
Yeah, just for prosperity, legal purposes, totally. But so then anytime, because I don't like enjoy. Obviously, I want people to play with as well. Um, so most of the time, it's going to be like I travel 90 minutes up to our friends who live near whatchamacallit, Philly still, and then they have copies of Melee as well. Again, perfectly legal, and copies of Ultimate. And so every once in a while I'll go up to them and I'll play with them. And so again, we have our one friend Rain, who I would say is quite equal to your level, Mark.
Whoa, slow
That
down.
being in Ultimate,
Oh, okay.
in
Yeah,
Ultimate,
yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah, sure.
yes, in Ultimate. And so we play against her, and she just fucking rocks us all the time. And then like the rest of us who are like basically all on the same level. And then yeah, Melee I've played significantly less of as the years have gone on, because like I remember like back to freshman year where we would have in spring semester we would do previews on Friday, like our preview classes on Friday.
It was classic.
And then we'd come home or come back to the dorm,
Get food.
beds, and then we just round robin across the two laptops
Till 3 in the morning.
till like 3 in the morning, just playing against each other. And like Gunnar would be there, and Paul would be there, and anyone else would drop by, and it was just like that. Like we would play for hours on end.
Life-
And I think that was the most. Yeah,
It's that such a simpler time. Like, oh my gosh, like that was such
it
a
really was.
yeah. You know, this do you guys remember when I Ubered us out to this tournament and then it ended up just being a round robin between the four of us? Do you guys remember that at all?
Which was that the one that ended that was at the place, or at like was it at a game store or like a dorm house
It was
thing?
at it was a game store and like there was no one at the
Okay.
tournament and like it turns out I just like robbed you guys of your money because like there was only four of us, so obviously I would be the one to win, and I felt so bad because I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my man, that was so funny. And there was a dog there, remember? Do you remember that tournament or no?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't. It's
I'm
surprising
pretty
how
sure
many
it
tournaments we went
was.
to.
I think it was. I wasn't there. It was Mark, Joe, Rain, and Paul.
Ah.
And I remember, I think that was the same time Rain couldn't give Paul good directions, and Paul went through the Easy Pass lane when he didn't have Easy Pass, and
Yeah.
he got billed $50.
Oh my gosh, no
Yeah.
way, that's so funny.
Well, because Paul
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
tell us. That's why he didn't say I can't go to tolls. Rain was just telling him basic directions, and then Paul was just like I can't go that way and didn't explain why. And we were just like, no, just go that way. It's fine. And then later he was like, yeah, I didn't have an easy pass.
Oh my god, that's so funny. Oh, poor
Oh,
Paul.
classic Paul.
$50 down the drain just for driving
Mm-hmm.
in this country only. In this country.
That was also, I think, one of the trips where you guys, specifically you, Mark, and Rain, discovered that, like, whatchamacallit, like, none of us are phased by the East Coast roads, but you guys were like, it's so hilly and twisty,
Yeah.
and there are people just doing, like, the Jersey slide across 4 lanes of traffic on a highway. And then there's, like, me, Joe, and Paul who are like, no, yeah, this is normal. This is every day.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm also from like the Midwest. You can like see across the globe from the like I can see literally Indiana. And like you introduced me to like a little drive from Philly to Arcadia. Like
Oh,
that
God.
drive is absurd. And they're like I don't know how you guys do this every day. Like those are precarious. Like there's no way I would drive there and be okay. No way.
Gotta start them young.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Dude, when I was coming back from Jersey today, I was like, I had to take the Tacony Bridge, and I'm like getting off the bridge, and I had to merge real quickly. This woman's throwing her finger at me. It's like
No.
this soccer mom with like 3 kids in the van. She's honking at me, and I'm like, yeah, you should have got over.
Jersey drivers, Jersey, Pennsylvania drivers, you guys are different. I don't know what y'all eating or what y'all putting in your food, but you guys are just built
A
different.
lot of fucking Wawa.
It is a lot of Wawa, for being honest.
Oh man. But yeah, anyway, that tournament, yeah, that was a good time. That was a great time.
Yeah. The tournaments are always fun because it's always just something, it's like almost always a completely different feel, even though like they all kind of feel like the same like tournament thing, but then it's like, you know, you have the ones that are in the game shops that are a bit more like clean, quote unquote, I'd say. Like they were a bit more like, you know, this feels like a school event. And then you have the ones that are like at people's houses. I think we only went to one of those, but remember, because I remember walking through the door and then going down to the basement, and it was just a real dark basement, and they had like 5 different CRTs set up, and
they said,
it
"Give
was
me your
just,
phone."
like,
Give me your
and
phone.
they said, give me your phone. And then he asked me to bend over and cough, and that part was a little strange, but you know.
I mean, yeah, frets are kind of weird, so.
Yeah, frats are a little strange. But I mean, I think that was my favorite tournament because it wasn't like a school event. It was like you can just do whatever the fuck you want until you did. And it was just like you just played against random people, and it was so much more lax. I was like, this is the kind of tournament that I'm here for. It's basically just a party.
Yeah, and like there's something to be said about all the different types of venues that you go. That one we went to is actually it's connected to the University of Pennsylvania. So the reason I said it was a frat because we were literally in a fraternity. That was a fraternity basement that we were in. But yeah, there's a diverse amount of kind of venues, especially like in here. Like I've been to venues where they've been in coffee shops. There's been a venue, this place called Demo's Pizza. It's literally a pizza place. There's other places where there's esport bars, and that's the thing about like melee people is that they don't really care as long as there's like CRTs and like GameCubes or Nintendo Wii's. Any tournament can happen anywhere. It's because these guys started from like literally nothing, like bringing TVs to their friend's house, and they've been doing it ever since. So they're definitely a scrappy type of people. But yeah, no, definitely have that lax environment. It's really really cool.
It sounds like, or at least there's definitely similarities between that and like punk music venues, man.
Yeah, you're
Like
totally
fucking
right.
my favorite venue down in the city is like it's the First Unitarian Church. It's like this punk venue in the basement of a church. There's this other place called Kung Fu Necktie, which is this Chinese restaurant that after hours
Kung
turns
Fu
into a
Nectar.
punk venue.
That's so cool.
Kung Fu
Dude,
necktie. That's so
yeah.
fucking badass.
Kung Fu necktie.
Yeah, so the room that they're just like, yeah, we do a bunch of like edgy casual stuff, and it's like a bunch of that overlaps. I feel like with like melee stuff where I'm like, I can see my two worlds colliding.
That's really interesting you say that. I've
Speaking of two
never
worlds colliding, oh
No, I was just gonna finishing my thought. I
no
was
no
just gonna
Mark.
say like I've never heard that comparison before, and that makes total sense. Because I feel like punk music, the whole thing was like they were kind of like quote unquote the alternative music where no one really, it was not really in the mainstream, so they just kind of had to make do. And like a big thing with like punk rock is like they all exist in these like sweaty, dingy basements, and even to this day that kind of still exists. That scene does exist, but yeah.
Yeah, Joe, where was the you didn't come with me, but the remember we were talking about it earlier, like the one concert that I had been to, and it was at that
Crumb.
like
Yeah, yeah. That's
Oh,
Philomoka. So that's that's literally called the Philadelphia Museum
you
of
saw
Contemporary
Crumb?
Art, and it's
okay.
literally just it's a fucking hole in the wall.
Yeah, I never heard of them. I just one of our Gunner was just like, "Hey, you want to come see this band with us?" And I was just like, "This will be like the first concert I've seen since I don't know. I think I saw U2 with my family like a decade prior or something like that." So I was like, "Yeah, I should start getting into like music scene and actually go to some of this stuff." And I did, and it was insanely fun.
Yeah, and you saw Crumb, correct? Am I like the
I believe so,
psychedelic rock
Joe.
band?
It was Crumb.
That's so
It was a
cool.
psychedelic rock
They're
band.
so
Yes.
yeah, they are so cool. I'm so jealous that you like your one-off time you go to a concert you saw Crumb. That must have been so awesome.
It was. I remember just like sitting, not sitting, like standing around there and just watching as everyone was kind of like jamming out on the dance floor, and then the band playing. And it's like, because again, my only barometers, I've seen Camp Rock 2 in concert
Uh-huh.
against my will.
It's
I
a
was too
great
young to stay home
it's a
for a
great starting
babysitter.
place.
Yep. And then like the U2 concerts, like these are both things that were like much bigger events, and they had like their massive stages and like thousands of people, so something that was way more like intimate, and you could actually like the stage, instead of being some massive production that was like so much real estate, it's like no, it's just this square, and it's only like 3 feet higher than where you're standing. And I was like, oh, I could poke the lead singer, I could reach my arm out and just fucking poke the lead singer.
First of all, why would you poke the lead singer? That sounds extremely rude.
I mean,
Like,
yeah,
what,
but
what
I
if,
mean, I'm just saying I
what
could.
if, what if
I
they want
could.
it? What if they don't like being poked, Joe? What would you do then? No, I'm obviously messing with you,
I, I,
but
I,
uh, 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 but to adding off of what you just said, like, yeah, no, I hear you. When you go to these, obviously, when you go see a concert like U2, it's like a whole thing. You can like, what are they like tiny specks? You can barely. You're kind of far off. It's like the stage, and then there's you, the audience, and there's that clear separation, right? But probably going to that like concert for you, it must have been like so surreal because you could literally, like you said, like poke, poke the lead singer. But no, I hear you, and like to relate to that real quick, like in Champaign where I went to school, there's this little music festival called Pygmalion, and JPEG Mafia. He wasn't really too big back in early like 2018, but anyway, like we went there. He was having a concert, and of course, no one showed up. There was like 30 of us in the venue, and then literally he like got off stage and like just put himself in a circle around like 30 of us, and he was like touching all of us and like moshing us, and that was a really like intimate and punky experience. So yeah, it's definitely cool to get that kind of like close to a band, especially if you're not used to it before. So yeah.
Don't fuck around with Peggy.
Dude, for real. He was just like, he's like, what song do you guys want to hear? And people would yell the song, then he'd be like, all right. Then he would like tap his MacBook and play the instrumental, and it was so fucking cool.
Dude, I saw a video before. It was another small venue like that, and the one chick opened her mouth and he spit in her mouth.
What? Are you kidding? I don't know. Was she like, yeah? Or was she like, what the fuck?
No, it was like she wanted it.
She looked up at him. I want you to spit in my mouth.
See, there.
Yeah, the video was like a friend taking it, and she like opened her mouth, he spit in it, and then she turned around and was like smiling, like woohoo, I got it.
See, that makes me wonder. I'm down for everyone to do their thing, but do you get anything for someone spitting right into your mouth? That's so disgusting.
Yes, obviously I get incredibly turned on.
Oh, you're right. But geez Louise, that's so brutal, just spitting in someone's mouth. But at least she got what she wanted, so hey.
Yeah, no kink shaming here. Hey.
Really no kink shaming.
She got what she wanted.
But
Joe,
so
you
now,
had Oh yeah, go.
Hold up.
Oh,
what were you gonna bring up? Were you gonna bring up my little concert list?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that stuff because now that we're like coming out of all this like quarantine stuff, where obviously you couldn't have any of this small venue stuff where you could poke lead singers and spit in each other's mouths, we're starting to open up again and actually have some of these venues starting to pop back up. So like, talk a little bit about like your excitement and hopefulness for all of that.
Dude. Literally, it's what I spend my money on, and it's like you would think that the past year and a half not having concerts I would have saved money, but really it's just gone all to Wawa and comic books. So
Hell
thank
yeah.
you to Joe Gator for that. But look, when I got that first email, maybe like I don't know, 3 months ago from like Union Transfer down in Philly on Spring Garden Street, they're like, look, concerts, they're back, and I was like, noni? And I was looking at the email and all these shows that got announced, and I was like, uh-oh, I can hear my wallet singing. It's crying to be spent. My quote-unquote wallet is really just a rubber band, but it works. But I made a little list of some of the shows that, you know what, I already have tickets for and that I want to see, and I sent it out to some of my friends, and I'm like, look, I am going to these. Here are the ones I have a ticket for. If you would like to come as well, let me know. I don't really care if you're coming or not, but I am going no matter what, because I really don't give a shit about going to concerts by myself. I've probably gone to more concerts by myself than I have with other people.
I remember you telling me that before. I think you were crying
just
when
run
you were
off a
telling
couple.
me, right? Like, oh my god, I'm only going to concerts by myself. No.
Sounds about right. Just to run off some of the names of some of the people I'm seeing. I got a ticket to see Japanese Breakfast in Philly.
Oh, hell yeah.
I want to see Soccer Mommy in Philly. I want to see Tiger's Jaw. I want to see Tennis. I want to see Beach Bunny, and I want to see Diet Sig and Julian Baker.
You got like the whole Matador Records lineup right there, dude.
Dude, for
like,
real.
Like, first of all,
Bunny.
seeing, do you know Beach Bunny actually goes to a college like about like 15 minutes away from my house? Did you know that?
Bro, I looked up how young they
They're
were.
our
And I was
age.
like, what the
They're
fuck?
our age. And
Wait,
like,
They're
yeah,
our age?
yes.
Yeah.
And like Joe, red hair Joe, it's like I know people that have grown up with the lead singer. I know people who've done that, and like she's extremely local, like literally like 15 minutes away from my house. And it's really crazy because
God
like her
damn.
music is so good. Like it's so surf rocky but not too like boring. It's great stuff.
It will Beach Bunny will forever be tied to New Zealand for me. Kind of same with
Mm-hmm.
one of the
Mm-hmm.
albums of Turnover, because like that was when we got there, and I was like, I need some music. And then Joe, I remember asking you, I'm like, what's that band you were just wearing the T-shirt for? What are they called? And you were like, Turnover, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna listen to their music. And you got super ecstatic. And then
That's so cute.
yeah, I Joe,
I,
I'm pretty
I,
sure you recommended me Beach Bunny, and you were like,
yeah,
tell Mark
because
you're
Beach
listening to
Bunny,
this.
yeah, Beach Bunny had just released their album right before we left for New Zealand, and I
Yeah.
remember the first night we got in, I had to like repack my bag because I was like kind of like sick before we left for New Zealand, and I was trying to convince myself that I wasn't,
Oh
Beach, you
and I
man.
were
was like,
sick like the entire time we were at New Zealand.
yeah,
Oh
I had a
wow.
terrible
That
cough,
sucks.
but basically I had to repack my bag and I was like, fuck, I need to put headphones in, just focus. I'm like, let me throw on this Beach Bunny record. And I listened to it the first time and I was like, uh-oh. I'm like, I'm hooked. This is what it feels like to smoke cigs.
Oh
Um,
my god. Maybe a
and I
little
was just telling
different, but
everybody, I was telling everybody, I'm like, you gotta listen to this album. Like, I was trying to push it on Paul, trying to push it on Joe, and Joe finally, he took the bait. And once he was like, yo, this shit's good, I was like,
yeah, and like it's just fun. Like her voice is so like she blends the perfect amount of like edginess with like profound lyricism because obviously she's like our age and she's edgy as fuck. But then like the beats are so catchy, you know, like I'm trying to think of like like her like lead single like Sports. That song's so fucking good. Like it's such an accessible song. It makes you want to just like go outside and stuff. It's a great song. I'm so glad that you know you Joe who has not heard Beach Bunny before that you really like them. That makes me very happy.
And so now every time on Spotify, like whenever it's like, hey, your artist that you like has like put out new stuff, like their latest stuff from like the Love Sick, Nice Guys, Blame Game, that stuff that they put out recently. Like I have all that stuff like in playlists and things like that. So I am now a Beach Bunny boy.
Yes, you are. Shout out Chicago. But yeah, to what Joe was saying about seeing his list, Japanese Breakfast, I saw them also at my school in Champaign, Illinois. She was probably one of the best concerts I've gone to before. She was touring for Soft Sounds of Another Planet, her first like studio album, and like being in that venue that she the whole like set and everything made you feel like you were in space. There was a lot of ambient noise, there's a lot of like echoing and stuff. And honestly, I'm so excited for you to go to see her in concert. I think you'll love it so much. And she's just an awesome person too. Like she's so cool.
dude, so she is originally from Oregon and then went to Bryn Mawr College in right outside of right outside of Philly, to get her art degree and
Wow.
everything. And so she ended up pretty much living in Philly the past couple years. She like lives actually like not too far away from Arcadia. She lives in Elkins
Wow,
Park.
no way. I
Um,
did not know that at all.
yeah, dude. So it's technically like a hometown show, I guess, down in Philly. And Mark, I shit you not, she announced the first show. It sold out in the first day. So she announced a second show the day before. She's like, "All right, well, we'll add a second Philly show," and I bought tickets for that one. That sold out in a day. Mark, she is on to 5 shows in a row in Philadelphia because all 4 of the other ones have sold out already.
That's so awesome. I mean, her album that she just released is actually so good. And how do I address the Joes in here? Red Hair Joe, you should listen to that album. I think you might enjoy it. It's pretty like I feel like you would like it if you kind of like Beach Bunny. It's kind of like not quite there, but I think you'd enjoy the sounds of it.
Just to specify again, which album is this?
The Japanese Breakfast
Um,
album.
Jubilee, the
Yeah.
one where she's got her side turned, she's showing off the tattoo, and she's got the little peaches that's like mandarins kind of hanging. It's the one with B Sweet.
Oh, okay, got it. I filed it away in the recesses of my brain for later. By that I mean I have Spotify open and I'm like liking things right now.
Yeah, because I think I sent you the album, Joe, or something, and you're like, oh wait, I recognize one of these songs. I think it was "Be Sweet," and I had sent it to you earlier because
Yeah,
it
I
was a
have Be
single.
Sweet.
But yep. So that album was really fucking cool. And the other cool thing with her is she released a memoir as
Yeah.
well, that she wrote, and I not only bought a digital copy, I bought a physical copy as well, and so I have that up in my room, and it was about her and her relationship, kind of like with her mother growing up, and they talk about like how they kind of bonded over learning like the original like coaching because her mom died of
Wow.
cancer a couple of years ago, and it was like I'm just reading this book and I'm like, damn, I'm like, this is making me love Jay Brecky even more.
Yeah, no, I remember she released that memoir, and I didn't know that her mom died of cancer, but she talked about it. She had a talk actually at my school, and she was kind of going along those topics of her mom. It seems like that's a pretty like central like point of her memoir. And I still have yet to read it, but yeah.
Huge.
I also just want to call to attention,
Oh
just
my
simply because
God, dude.
accent.
Oh my God.
You guys played
Oh my.
tricks for me in that car, and
Oh
I was
my
like, I need
God.
to.
Dude, Stella Donnelly is, oh my God, I'm so glad. Dude, so many things to be said. First of all, she is Australian. So I feel you guys are like pretty much pseudo New Zealanders. You guys talk about it all the time and you want to live there. But yeah, you should listen to that album. Have you guys listened to it yet, or you guys have just listened to Tricks?
I've only listened to tricks,
Yeah,
but it's like it's in my to listen list.
yeah, that album goes into a lot of topics that are pretty heavy, but she does it in a very like nonchalant way, which is it can be kind of uncomfortable, but she's just a very blunt and like snarky person. But yeah, no, the what is the deal with the accent? Did you just really like it a lot?
And once the actual vocals kicked in, I I had four friends in my car, and I was like, "Everyone, shut the fuck up! You have to appreciate this accent." And then I bumped the music way up, and then everyone just kind of sat for a little bit and listened. And my friends were like, "Oh yes, pretty good accent. Yeah, that's some nice music. Yeah." And I was like, "It's fucking great. You shut the fuck up."
Some people just don't appreciate a good Australian accent like you, Joe.
Some people don't, and that's why some people were kicked out of my car this afternoon.
Damn.
Moving on, uh, Jody, you didn't have anything else along like the because like we could talk about music. I feel like for
I
approximately
just have one
48
question
hours.
real quickly for
Oh
Mr.
yeah?
Capapis. Mr. Capapis, you messaged me about an
Oh my
album
God,
earlier
yes,
today.
I did.
Dude, Vince Staples,
Yeah.
baby. Let me tell you, Joe, you might not be able to connect with this because this
Yeah,
is
screw
rap
you, Joe.
music. So,
Hmm. All
um,
right.
bro, I was not expecting this. This is pretty damn
Dude,
nice.
let me just say, like, the sonics of that album, they like, I don't know how to make this sound like like not nasty. It just tickles my ears. It's like there's like a little guy just like, touching these parts of my ears that I didn't know existed. Like some of those tracks, and I'll be brief with this. Like the opening track, like what is that song called? Are You With That is amazing. Like the production on it's so tight. Vince Staples, and he also like in the whole album he kind of like takes a more intimate route. If you listen to the song Tripping, do you remember that one, Joe? Taking
Mm-hmm.
Trips. Yeah, no, everything about the album I love so much. The sounds are so good. Probably my favorite rap album to come out in recent times. Um, but yeah, great album. Thank you,
Yeah,
thank you for bringing it up.
it caught me by surprise. I saw it was released, and I was like, oh, cool, Vince dropped an album. Let me listen to this. And it was like, literally, like I said, he took all of his good stuff from the past couple albums. Like he sometimes he's a little too edgy, he's a little too in your
Yeah,
face, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna take a little bit of that. I'm gonna take my great lyricism. I'm gonna take some of that kind of more like jazzier, laid back vibes, a
yeah,
little bit more cleaner. It almost sounded a little Earl Sweatshirty at times,
yeah.
and
A little more drony.
I was like, wow. I'm like. And it was pretty short too. It was a
Yeah, it was
quick
10
album. And I
songs.
listened to it and I was like, damn, I can throw this on repeat nonstop.
Yeah, yeah, man. And like Yeah, dude, just listen to the album. It's so good. But yeah. Anyway, shall we move on, Red Joe? Where are you taking us now?
I wasn't really taking us anywhere. I was just kind of being like, all right, anyone else have anything else they wanted to add? And clearly you guys did, so that was cool. Um, I loved hearing the music stuff from you guys because even if I don't fully appreciate it, like more the rap scene that I tend to, I've started to like dip my toes into it a little bit because I'm finding things that I enjoy from it.
Like Beach Bunny?
Like Bryce, like Beach Bunny. I have a couple of Bryce Vine songs that I've become quite a fan of.
Sure.
Um, there are probably some more in there that I just can't remember off the top of my
Yeah.
head, but my biggest acquisition of like new music from one singular artist has been Fickle Friends, who I know
Yeah.
Joe didn't know beforehand. Do you know Fickle Friends?
Yeah, they're kind of like a poppy, kind of synth poppy type group, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what they are. I played it for my parents one night because they were like, "What do you listen to anyway?" And I was
What
like,
you listening
"Well, I
to
just
there,
found this
son?
new band." What you listening to there, son? And I was like, well, I listened to this, and I started playing a song. I think it was one of their newest releases at the time, and it was Cosmic Coming of Age. And my dad was just kind of sitting there listening to it, and he's like, "You are so stuck in the '80s," and I was like, "Well, yeah."
Well, maybe you are, and that's okay. Because first of all, like the '80s are such a cool time period, and also there's like still has yet to be listened to from the '80s that are probably good ones. Because there's just so many people who caught
Yeah,
onto that
totally.
like synth wave kind of rocky type music, and there's so much that I even have to listen to. But yeah, no, it's okay to be stuck in like a time period because I feel like it does kind of curate what you listen to like in modern days, and that's really cool that you kind of found like some sort of modern segue back into it. You know?
Hmm.
Dude, I bet. I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier. Joe would probably love tennis.
Yeah, I think he would. So that's on your listening list. Just listen to their
Tennis.
newer album, Swimmer. It's really, in
I
fact,
was
the
gonna
drummer.
say
Like
drums.
their drums are just so like they sound. It keeps my attention just because the percussion is just so like punchy. So yeah, definitely go listen to them.
All right, it's been added to the list.
Oh yes, it has. Oh yes, it has.
Does anyone have any other like musical stuff they want to talk about before we move on to anything else?
Um, we should start rapping. No, I don't have anything. Please continue.
I'm good. I'm good. I feel like half the time when I do talk about music stuff, I'll like I'm pretty good. Like at least once a day, I probably send a song out to somebody. Like even if it isn't like Joe or Mark, like maybe sending something to Paul. I send a lot of my more punk stuff to Paul because he seems to be really into that lately. Where I'm like, oh, this is some good shit. I'm like sending it out. It's like sending out like a massive email back in like the 90s. It's like everybody has to see this.
I hear you. It's like a, and especially when it hits, it's like a great feeling. You know, you're being vulnerable. You're putting the music out there that could suck to someone else, but when they hit you back with the dude, this is so good type text, like that's a satisfying feeling.
It
Yeah,
is.
I
It's
feel like
so satisfying.
when like, and I'm also super like whenever somebody sends me a song, I will always, always, always listen to it because I know that like if I send somebody a song, like I don't know, it's weird, but like that kind of means you mean a lot to me. I'm like,
It's a
look,
love
I
language.
I was thinking of you when yeah, I was thinking of you when I heard this, and I want you to share this little part of my heart and listen to it, and like. It breaks my heart where like sometimes I'll send it and I'll be like, "Oh, did you ever listen to that?" They'd be like, "No, not
Yo, let
really."
me
And I'd be like,
let
"Oop,
me back
well,
this up
you're
real quick. I think I'm being called out right now.
No, I'm not. I'm
No,
not.
you know
No,
what,
no, no, no,
Joe?
no. I'm not talking about
Right after
you.
this episode, I'm gonna listen to all the music that I've neglected to listen to. There's not a lot, but I will go back and
Dude,
write you
dude, no,
a
no, no, no.
page long
Well,
review
here's the
per
thing.
thing.
Here's the thing. With somebody like you, you're probably already listening to half the stuff already. And it's like it's more I'm sending it because it's like, oh, this is just something I'm listening to. But like, there's other times where I send stuff and it could be like just like specific, like, I'm trying to think. There's some friends where normally I don't send them music, but when I do, it's like a big deal. I'm like, look, man, I'm like, I normally don't send you this, but listen to this. And it's like when they don't even listen to it, I'm like, damn. I'm like,
That does
what the
hurt.
heck? But that's not
That
you
does
guys.
hurt. But Joe, as your good friend, I want to be honest that there's definitely been some songs I haven't listened to that you sent me, and I will go back and retrace my steps and do you a service by listening to the music that you sent me.
And writing those one-page reports per song.
Yeah, I'll have to think about that.
All right. Very nice. With like there's so many of like these things that we're super passionate about, like the music and the Super Smash Brothers. I did want to, even if it's only briefly, because this is already going on for a pretty long time, but also photography. Like I want to discuss a little bit of photography at least because it's like something that all of us are passionate about to like varying levels. Um, Mark, what started you into photography, real quick?
Yeah, honestly, I had a camera like when I was like 10, and I was like, this is cool. And I could go more into it if you want a quick introduction. It's pretty much started until then, but would you like me to keep going into what more than that, or do you want me to just stop so everyone can kind of like give their spiel?
I guess we can all kind of give our spiel, like just a brief introduction to like
Yeah,
kind of what our levels are in like photography and like why we're there.
sure.
Um, like for instance, whatchamacallit, I started off with I didn't really get into photography until I took the course in college, my photo one class, and that was all like based in film and like you had to develop everything in the darkroom and stuff like that. But even before that, kind of similar to you, I didn't have a camera, but with my smartphone, it
Yeah,
was like, everyone has, I don't know, like 900 bajillion photos on their smartphone, and it's just all this random, like, selfies, 100 photos of this or that, and like food and all this other crap. And with me, I only ever had, like, I don't know, a couple dozen of images, but it's always because I would take photos and then I would just delete a bunch of them because I was like, this is all crap. And then I would only ever keep the ones that I thought were like actually kind of cool. And so that was like my beginning of like curating, I don't know, photos and like my photography skills and stuff
sure.
like that. And then the photo thing kind of like uh only expounded upon that more so. And now I'm not like a professional by any means, but I tend to take it a little bit more, I don't know if seriously is the right word, but I think about it more than I guess like the average,
Yeah.
basic white chick doing an Instagram photo.
Yeah, and I think there's something, I think a lot of the photography community can seem gatekeepy because, it's like, oh, if you don't have this or you don't know this. But, I think that everyone can access it on their own levels. And that's what's really fun about it, because there's someone like me who is really trying to hit like the professional level, because I'm existing in that realm. But I'm not saying this to diminish you, but you're on a different level and you're enjoying it too. And I think that's how it should be taken. It shouldn't be, not everyone's trying to get to a certain level, and especially if you're trying to just be more active about it and being more conscious about it, like you said, like kind of filtering out what you like and don't like. And that is photography in itself, because people are like, oh, if you don't own a big camera or whatever, it's like it's not photography. But that's not true. And the power of the smartphone should not be underestimated, because you can make really beautiful work with your phone. But anyway, yeah, no, that's cool that you kind of like are transitioning into that level with you.
Yeah, it's just something that I find to always kind of be really fun. And then it's also nice whenever I take a picture or like I have friends that are just sort of like, "Hey, we're gonna take a picture," and then everyone's like, "Have Joe take it," and I'm like,
Oh,
"Fuck yeah, pump
it's
up
my
that
it's my
ego of mine.
time. It's my time.
This is my time to shine, baby."
What about you, Samino? What's your story?
Well, when I was in, like, I would say junior year of high school, my mom was like, "Hey, I found this old camera that I had. You want it?" And it was like this perfect, like brand new condition of this Canon Rebel G from, like, I believe it was 94 and 96, and it's like this film camera. And I'm like, "Damn!" I'm like, "This is kind of nice." She's like, "Yeah, we have to go buy film, but you could probably play around with it." And she got me film, and I remember I was like taking all these photos like around my bedroom, trying to get like these pictures of like records and stuff, and trying to make them look all cool. And I remember half, like no, when I got them finally developed, 3/4 of them were out of focus, and
Uh,
the the last quarter were like me trying to take a selfie, a picture of my desk, and a picture of a record. And out of those, there was only one where I was like, you know what, that's not half bad. And I remember thinking to myself, damn, this shit's really fucking hard. I'm like, I would love to actually like get somewhat decent at this. And I remember I would like watch YouTube videos and stuff that summer trying to learn more about it, but I kind of lost interest once like senior year of high school started. But it wasn't until you, Mark, were taking pictures with your camera. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot. I still have mine. I should probably get back into that. Um, and I remember one weekend when I went home from school, I grabbed it, and we went up to the cemetery to take pictures. And I remember being like, okay, what did I learn in those YouTube videos? Let me try it out. And still, like half of them still came out like out of focus and blurry, but the other ones were like
they're
much
bangers,
better.
man.
And I was like, whoa, dude, I was like, wait a minute. I did the thing that I actually wanted to
Yeah.
do in my head when I took the photo. Like it came out, and I remember like having that realization, being like, holy shit, like I can actually do something with this. Like I have somewhat of an understanding. So I've just been hooked ever
Yeah,
since.
and like I just want to point out that like, we're all at different points, not points, but like we're all processing the art in different ways, and that's really cool. Like red hair Joe, you're taking your iPhone pictures, and you're being the guy to like be the one to take pictures, which is honestly a massive ego boost. And you got Samino here, doing like 35 millimeter, and there's me doing like work and stuff, and there's no wrong way to do it. But I will say though that the best satisfaction does come from film photography, because sometimes you forget about certain images and they just pop up later in a physical form. They're just there's really nothing that can beat that level of satisfaction.
Yeah, no, there's when it comes to taking pictures, I think my best photos that I ever took were during that photo one class when I was doing stuff with film. Um, and I have like, I have certain photo series of our friends. Like there's one of Rain doing some on the computer, and so it's just the one side of their face completely lit by that, and then everything else is dark. And I'm like, oh my god, that looks so cool. And then the Joe, the amazing photo of you doing your best French girl impression on the jetties of at the Barnegat Lighthouse, and
Dude,
that was
dude,
awesome.
I have to send you a picture of what I ended up doing with that frame and the blank frame you gave me.
Oh yeah.
Um, I made a little Joe and Joe shrine, kind of.
Oh my god.
Um, it's really funny. I wanted to send a picture in the Discord and say the duality of man, because the picture that I picked for the other frame is it yeah, it shows the duality of man.
I need to see this immediately.
Yeah, but how are you guys like engaging with it now? Are you guys still kind of active with it, just kind of passive with it? Like, what's your guys' deal with it?
um,
Um, I what I do is, I mean, I still have a bunch of film and I have my camera all set up, like, and I always have stuff ready to go. And I like having a disposable as well. Just like I always keep that around in my backpack because some of my favorite pictures. Like was from a disposable freshman year that we would take like in the library, because like it would be kind of weird for at least for me to like bust out my camera in like a library. Like I just felt awkward with
Yeah.
it, so like having a disposable was always nice. But nowadays, at least Joe and Paul and I, we try and schedule like photo trips,
Hmm.
usually like one during the fall or one during the spring, where we go for like a day, find a place and just shoot, hang out for the day, get food or whatever, and it's usually really fun. Um, but besides that, um, I usually schedule like when I'm going to take photos. It's not kind of like, oh, I have it around me and I'm just shooting. If I do something with that, like I said, it's more casual with like a disposable.
Yeah, for sure.
uh, with me, it's similar to that, where it's like again, I don't do it a whole lot as like nearly as much as I did back in school. Um, especially with film stuff. Like I have a camera that I can shoot like 35 millimeter film on, um, and then it broke a little bit, and then I had to get it repaired, and then it wasn't repaired in time for one of our photo trips, and that got me real heated.
Yeah.
Um, but I still managed to have like I think I had a Fuji camera from my dad. He was like, "Here, use this one instead," and I was like, "Oh, cool." Um, so it's like those photo trips are really like that's like the burst of when it's like, okay, here's where I'm going to take all of my like really cool like film photos, and then everything else that I do, which isn't a whole lot, but like everything else is on my my Pixel or whatever. So it's like bit of the digital, bit of the call it, the film. Um, yeah, just a sprinkling of everything.
For sure. I guess at this point, I'll kind of explain to you guys where I am with it. I have I'd say a complicated relationship with my camera and my several cameras in my art because it's kind of a thing where I am doing it professionally. So, whenever you do something, a passion professionally, let's say for you, Joe, it's like, if you were to get commissioned for art every day, it'd be different from doing it recreationally, because you're kind of developing this very stern relationship, this professional relationship. So for me, it's like sometimes it's hard to find that balance because sometimes shooting stresses me out when in reality I want to shoot to like relax and like, make art and stuff. But as of, today I'm doing a lot of client work. I'm trying to get jobs with it. So sometimes it can be stressful. But Samino said, he has disposable, and luckily one of my cameras looks like a disposable, so I just kind of carry it around with me all the time. And I find that just being kind of liberating, just having to have it with me all the time, and going out and intentionally shooting when I can. But yeah, no, photography is pretty cool. It's a fun thing to do. I'm glad you guys find some solace in it.
Yeah, it's just a cool thing to do, man. And I feel for you where it's like it's a thing that you love to do recreationally, and then you love it so much that you want to try and make a living with it, and then trying to do that kind of kills part of it for
Yeah.
you. And it's like trying to find that balance in there somewhere is always it's like the constant battle.
Yeah, and it definitely does exist somewhere, and it comes in waves. There will be days, months where I don't pick up my camera, and then there'll be days where I'm shooting multiple times a day and editing. And I think the most important thing for like photography for any types of for you phone for some film is like going to like really and finding cool places, and that could mean like cool nature areas, that could be cool like urban areas, or for me, like I went to Colorado this past like 2 weeks ago, and that was really cool to see, all these mountains, seeing all these different sceneries, and just really, no matter what, if you get bored, the camera will never get boring. It's like the world around you that might get boring. So just trying to immerse yourself in like different areas, a new place that you haven't seen before is always a good way to like kind of reset yourself, I feel like.
That is quite beautiful and profound,
Thank
actually.
you. I appreciate it.
The camera will never get boring. The world around you may get boring. That is
Put that on my grave,
beautiful.
please.
Yeah,
Play
that's what we're gonna do.
I need that on a Forever 21 shirt.
Screw you, dude. You know what? It's been a pleasure, guys. I gotta go to the poop doctor right now to get my poop checked out.
Just-
I have to go to the poop doctor.
Mark, before you leave, I have one question that I have to ask every guest that we bring on here, even though you're our 1st
Let's
guest.
hear it.
Um, do you manscape?
Do I manscape? Great question. It always depends on my relationship status. Since I'm in a relationship, I'd say I'm a pretty frequent manscaper. But when I'm not in a relationship, I can go full chaotic and not manscape. But it really depends on the day. If I have a date, I'm like, as a preventative measure, why not? But it really depends. So I'd say at this point in my life, I'm a relatively frequent manscaper.
Thank you for sharing that with us all. I truly
It's
appreciate
private
it.
information, but for you guys, anything.
well, thank you for that, and thank